Nightly action review time. Let's see what's going on. Today we got that bounce I was talking about on the yesterday's top-down anchor that we gapped up over, so that's great. I was too adamant on the long, really, which is what I'm realizing. We got started here on SPY, or where did we actually? Yeah, here, which I neglected to kind of accept that this is still very much in this zone. Like, we didn't really gap up out of the zone for a backtest into it. We're still very much in this area, which is really like this whole support area in the first place, or not support, these like levels. And yeah, we ended up having more downside than I expected. We actually came back down to test the bottom up from one of our recent lows, which should be pretty much lined up with here. Yeah. And then climbed all the way back up to the high of day here to make it a V that kind of tapered out. If I look on, I just expand this chart, we are still potentially holding a bit of recovery trend line. Like, matter of fact, let's just remove drawing so we can look at it blank. I think though that we're gonna need to hold this area here. I think if we come down to like this price overnight and end up getting a kind of a nasty cup, I don't think that will not be good at all, and maybe even sign of potential further downside. I mean, if I go over to the week, still negative on the week, kind of starting that week red. This daily fib is one thing I neglected to take a look at. We actually started the day under the pocket of this big gap down candle, which I didn't really take into consideration on today. It was pretty much what my anchor pushed us into was the golden pocket of there, and then we came all the way back down to the 100, and all the way back up to the golden pocket, and then didn't even get to the 50, pushed it all the way back down. So I think actually it shying the 50 here was kind of an example of or an early indicator of how strong this downside was going to be. You know, I mean, shying the 50, even if I bring it all the way up into the high, we shied the 50 even harder, and we just tapped that 61.8 and pushed back down. Now we're back down to the 1, looking like a gap down below the low a day perhaps. And if we gap down below low a day, I will look for a long towards it, look for that magnet. I should actually put it here. I will look for a back test of it from below, and then we're gonna have to see. I mean, I'm kind of gonna, the weekly negative, daily still strongly negative. The 4-hour was turning, but we just didn't push out and up far enough to really rocket this into a little recovery. I mean, if we look at other days that were falling, you're looking at a strong push back to like the previous day highs. Just to take one little example, But here we did get back to that area, but then just rejected a bit too strong. I mean, I'm trying to make macro thesis estimations here, but I think one other thing that it comes down to throughout the day. So I was like too bullish, right? I caught this long here for not like barely what it was worth, really. I mean, it went over 100 points, and then I was trying to continue to go long here, and that was kind of fine. Except one thing I was neglecting was that the 15 had turned negative. Um, 15 had turned negative, and the Stoke was pretty much flat in the middle, and so this was fine. But then the problem was I continued trying to go long even after that 5 turned down. All right, so he about at this point, yeah. So I tried to go long around here on the break of this candle, which normally should work for at least a few points, but I should have taken into account that the 5 had gone and crossed down. The 2 was crossing down, the 15 was down, and therefore there really wasn't any reason to take a long until like here when you get the 2 cross back up and then cross down and then back up, and then the 5 is curling. And that right there was the signal to go ahead and trust that long. You push out for a little bit and then you get the 15 curling. But before that, there's really little reason. So I think my fatal mistake on this day was pigeonholing or tunnel visioning or whatever on this being like the low of the day. Whereas realistically, I should have taken my win, thought about it, regrouped, maybe saw that I could have continued trying to take a shot here. That would have worked. Then once this broke down, really thought about it. Once this broke down, we get the 5 Mac cross. Really sat and thought about it. But looking at what could happen tomorrow. Again, back test of this one from below. Look for that. We could drop another on the low a day, which is even higher up. But I'll focus on this one because that's this one already got kind of tested and failed and then came back down. So now this is the new low anchor. Oop. Back tested that from below, and importantly, make sure I follow my max as presented. Because then once the 2 gets across down, it starts working its way down there, and then you get the 5 cross down. Look at that. There's the follow through. So we've got to focus on that and see what happens tomorrow. if we open below this 1 fib on the daily fib, I think we could retest these bottoms. That'd be pretty nasty. I don't want to be too married to the idea of a few days recovery here. It doesn't have to do that, especially because a lot of people are probably talking about how we should get a recovery and such. So it doesn't have to do that for sure. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind the SPY anchors here. I'll go ahead and replace that low a day. Place this high. See how we're kind of pinched here. Post market has dropped all the way back down to here. So maybe we'll get some support off of that low anchor. And we did technically start a buy signal today with this 10 over the 50. So these are some good anchors. This one from the low of that move. Never got back tested. This one from the low of today, and then these certainly got tested, right? So we are looking at a buy signal, but this could easily wash down into a short-lived buy signal and turn into a sell. So there's that. What else might have indicated to me? I'm not gonna worry about these gaps and things like that. Let's focus on these charts. I mean, we didn't even get a back test of the 5 daily SMA, which is pretty surprising. I figured we would have gotten a back test of the 5. The 5 is sinking deeper under the 50. So I mean, honestly, we're still holding a decent trend line here, but I would say if we crack down under the 100 towards this area that's kind of taken off, the long might be a little canceled until we dig a bit deeper. So I mean, I'll take a look tomorrow with fresh eyes here. I'm still perhaps a little frustrated from the annoying day, and see what that brings. I think the main focus that I'll be looking for on QQQ is a magnet to here. If we gap under that, and I mean, if that works, given the confusing nature of what's going on here, a potential short-lived buy signal, I might just take that magnet trade and call it a day. So yeah, let's see what happens tomorrow.